about the real-world advantages versus the costs? I mean, considering that adoption has not been, overwhelming thus far, what is the balance there? Costs versus advantages. What is going to drive people to this?
Well, the cost factor, in my opinion, is sort of the appetizer before the meal. The real advantage in all of this is the programmability. Once you can program networks through software, you open up a whole new world of possibilities as to what, not only what can be done in the data environment, but what the data environment itself is and how it relates to business models and business processes. And I think we're looking at a real top to bottom change as to not just in digital terms or in technology terms, but in business terms, how companies are going to be run and how revenue streams are going to be defined and who's going to own those revenue streams. All of this is sort of thrown up in the air once you have lifted the whole data stack off of hardware firmly, not the way it's been done.
How does that revenue stream picture impact the adoption of SDN?
As far as how it's paid for, how do you?
Yeah, or what? I mean, you draw a comparison there. I'm not sure the connection between those two things.
Well, it's that today you make product, you sell product, and you get the money for it. With SDN, you can make product, reshape the product, create new business models, new business markets, and quickly and efficiently target them and access those markets and derive revenue streams from them. And it's not always going to be clear who owns the revenue stream. As if we want to talk about, say, automobiles, the person who makes the car is going to be making the money. The person who makes these software upgrades that are going to be going into the cars, the person who provides the infrastructure to enable these changes, and concepts like ownership and place and position are breaking down. Yeah. And I'm not saying that this is all a good thing or all a bad thing. It's just going to be a different thing that we're going to have to work out how it's all going to work to people's benefit.
Sure. Jude, your take on benefits and costs, and what is really driving companies to SDN, if anything?
I think that Art gave a really great picture of what seems to be the transformative, the real deep down benefits of SDN. I think based on the research from the Quinn Street Survey and other studies that I've seen as well, cost savings really is the key motivator at this point for organizations to begin exploring SDN. The interesting thing is that cost savings is often the top-sided challenge as well. Mm-hmm. And I think it speaks to sort of the complexity of the idea of SDN, all the things that it can change within your data environment, within your business, and the way that things will be run. It seems to me that one of the key challenges is going to be, how will we use this as an organization? There are so many directions you can go in, and as Art demonstrated, it's such a broad, transformative technology. It's not quite the same thing as just upgrading a piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. It's really a completely different paradigm. It's a different way of thinking. So the big challenge to organizations is, how do we shift the way that we do things, and how do we focus, how do we harness this for our own goals? I think it will take some time for most enterprises to get to a point where they have a handle on what they can do with it and how it can best serve them.
Yeah, interesting. You mentioned that from the survey, the benefits of SDN. The number one was cost savings, but then followed behind that at 47, 46, and 45% are improved network performance, increased productivity, similar idea, and improved security. Interesting in terms of the top challenge, the survey found that 42% was integration and interoperability. In other words, how are we going to fit this concept with our good old-fashioned hardware network? Sean, your take of the costs and the benefits and the costs of SDN?
Yeah, I'll be the contrarian and tell you SDN is free.
Oh,
Free.
good. Oh, open source. Okay, good.
Free, open source. So I'm sitting on a Linux machine right now. I've got Open vSwitch. Free. I didn't pay for it. My network is channeled, and I'm using a Juniper Contrail controller. Also free.
Well, but what about the personnel that companies need to hire to maintain that free?
You can hire smart
stuff?
people. Not that I'm for hire. You hire smart people. You don't need to pay anybody.
Gotcha. Well, that does entail hiring smart people, though.
Yeah.
Hiring people.
You always need smart people. No, what it does is it takes a lot of cost out, which is why big companies like Cisco and Juniper are worried and trying to maneuver technology so they can still get a piece.
Mm-hmm.
In the hardware-defined networking market, I would have needed a top-of-rack switch and physical switches to route my traffic and do everything I need to do. Each one of those items has a cost. A physical CapEx cost for the hardware, and then I would have been paying OpEx on subscription and license support for the software. When you're talking SDN, we're typically paying, it's either free, or if you want support, you're paying subscription support. So it pulls out that OpEx, that initial CapEx outlay altogether, and then changes the entire revenue stream to a recurring subscription-based model, which some people like, some people don't, but it's just a different way of accounting for it. But for smaller organizations, SDN offers an opportunity to do things like, for me, in my small little bunker here, I could do things that 3 years ago would have cost me $50,000 to do, I can do for zero now. So it's kind of interesting.
Given that there's the personnel to support that, yeah. Jeff, your take, the cost and benefits of SDN. What is driving companies and people to software-defined networking?
Well, I thought Art had it right. I mean, initially it's going to be cost savings. I mean, it just is. And the other stuff is the other things that people can do with it are going to come later, and that's what they're really going to grab onto. I also think that one of the things to keep in mind, too, is that many of these companies have already dealt with server virtualization, storage virtualization. So having a hardware-based network is really kind of blocks them from being able to really do what they want to do with this virtualization technology. So they need that third leg to also virtualize.
When you say the third leg, just
network.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You can't take advantage of full server virtualization and full storage virtualization and have hardware-based networking if you want to get the full benefits out of it. I mean, you've got a lot of companies now, a lot of vendors talking about software-defined data centers, and to have that, you've got to have this sort of a technology.
I mean, I think that if there is a truly software-defined data center out there, I don't know of it yet. I don't think a fully software-defined data center actually really exists all the way. I think it's still kind of an idea that we might be moving towards.
Definitely.